Okay. All right, so inshallah it's working. All right, awesome. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Oh yeah. So letting you guys know, when you guys are a host, when you point your finger over somebody's image, you have the ability to actually mute people. I just muted everybody. So today, I'm not going to be tell you guys the agenda. Scrum Master will be Kelsey. But Kelsey, I'm not sure if are you in a place that you could be.
I'm in the car, but I can definitely do it. So.
Awesome. Okay. You can kick us off.
Okay, so I'm just opening up your slides, or are you gonna have them up? You're sharing yours.
Yeah, I'm just sharing mine, so you can just read right from my slide.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to be the Scrum Master today, so I'm just gonna check who's here really quick. Kamilah, Bilal, and Ali. Okay, and then Ali, you're gonna do your intro to Jira, and then Kamilah, you're gonna do your presentation today, and then we're gonna have questions at the end.
Yep. Cool. All right, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. So I want to start getting deep into like the real deal. What is Jira? And hopefully give you guys a really good introduction. So this is a really, really important class. I hope all of you guys are able to take notes and just try to absorb as much as you can. Okay, so Jira, what is Jira? So Jira essentially, you guys already have an idea, but it differs from Trello. So Trello is like a nice, easy board that you guys could use. Jira basically allows you to do time tracking in addition to your regular task management, resource management. That basically means assigning tasks to people. Like you could actually tag people's names. You could do reporting, which is really easy. And Trello doesn't let you do that. So you can see what percentage of a project is done, what percentage of projects have bugs, et cetera. There's a lot of reports you can do. Document management, both of them do that. And then issue management. Issue management basically means a card can be a different type of issue. Like in Trello, a card is a card. But in Jira, a card can be a bug, a user story, lots of other different types of things. And that specific card, it could actually go through a process. And I'm going to walk you through all of that. So I want to give you guys a real life sneak peek. And the reason why I'm on 3 different screens is because allows me to share my work computer. So I'm going to actually share from here. Whoops. I'm going to stop sharing here. Whoop. Okay. So stop share, and then I want to share on my work computer. All right. Cool. You guys can see my screen? Yep, I know you guys can see it because I can see it on my other laptop. Okay, so let's go on to Jira. So what you're looking at here is Jira. And I'm going to open up a new tab so I don't freak you guys out. And I'm going to just open it up here. So when I log into Jira, Jira is pretty much like 90% of companies use it. So you're going to be living, breathing. This will be like the tool that you guys are going to be doing. And eventually I'm going to try to give you guys access to this. There's a lot of bells and whistles. But to give you guys a walkthrough, essentially you have different projects and you could organize your different projects here. That way you don't get confused because different projects will have different user stories. You might be working on a specific project that has to do with one web page. It might be another project for like an app, for example. So different projects, it could be organized here. And then you have issues, and issues allow you to, issues are like user stories, and you could search for user stories or you could create them. And then there's boards, and those are kind of like the three things, the main things. Boards, they allow you to go to different type of Kanban boards and different type of boards. So just for kicks, I'm gonna start walking through and showing you different type of boards. Let's walk through that. And this will be a little bit familiar. It should be familiar to you from your Trello boards. So at Verizon, we have a lot of different boards. So it's like hundreds and hundreds, obviously, because there's like 100,000 people that work here. But recently visited boards will show me, these are the boards I went to recently. They all have their own code names and things like that. You don't have to care about that. But I'm just going to go into one of them to show you what it looks like. All right, so this is a Kanban board. It's a little bit more complicated than your typical like to-do type filters and stuff like that. But if you look here, make it bigger, you could actually customize this. So the way they customize this is they have new issues, new user stories, right? These have not been groomed yet. So remember we talked about product owners having a backlog. So for this particular project, this is a different way in a big company how things can be organized. This is project organizing. So this is like a project backlog. So for this specific project, you can see there's a whole bunch of, well, not that many, just 3 user stories or 4, right? And they haven't been groomed yet. And then the value team, this is a team at Verizon, we call it a value team. But basically, this is the business guys that are going to look over the user stories. So if it's in this column, they haven't been looked at yet, or they're still being looked at. And then once they finish looking at it, they're going to go into the core team. And to move something to the core team, Bilal, can you take a guess on how we move it from the value team to the core team? Just got to unmute yourself. Cool. All right, Kelsey, any guesses on how we would move it from the value team to the core team?
My guess is just drag it over.
Yeah, exactly. So literally,
Okay.
you'll just like literally drag it over, and then it'll officially be there. How to do that, but that's literally how easy it would be on the Kanban board. And then from the core team, those are the engineers. They're going to do their own grooming session. So that's a separate grooming meeting that they're going to do. Most companies, these value team and core team is just one grooming session, but at Verizon, there are 2 separate meetings. And after that, the next step is called ready. And in the ready stage, these are ready for development. So ready, so once the sprint is going to be happening, sprint planning, Kamilah, what column do you think you would be able to pull stories from to go into a sprint? You just have to unmute yourself, Kamilah.
To go into a sprint, you'd pull them from the new? No. No, they're ready.
Good guess.
No, they're ready.
They're ready, correct. Yep,
That's-
because they're exactly. Yep. Because once a sprint begins, the ones that you pull into a sprint, those are the ones that, the only ones that can go into a sprint is if they're ready to go into a sprint. And ready means that all the requirements are done. So to give you an idea of stories that are in the new column, how bare bones it would be, there's different ways in Jira. One way is you could actually just click on it and you could just see a little summary view here, or you could click on the link and then you could pull it up really big. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to open it up in a new tab. If you right click, you could typically click anything in a new tab like that. These are like, this link right here is the link to this issue or this user story. In this case, it's a user story. Cool. So if you notice, like This is like a user story, obviously, right? The priority was given, it's high. And acceptance criteria is here. There's a description. So it almost, you might even think, okay, maybe this thing is all ready to go. If it's got everything. But if you scroll down, you might notice that there's no attachments. Typically, designers will attach a design. And if it's not there, the Scrum Master will not allow it to go to the next stage. So sometimes that happens. So this was a new story. You could see who reported it. This is the reporter is the one who created it. And whoever is assigned to, they're supposed to be working on it. So right now, nobody's working on it because it's brand new. So I'm going to call upon Bilal. Bilal, can you please read the description? Bilal? We can't hear you, Bilal. I think you're muted, or your phone might be muted, Bilal. All right, Kamilah, you want to read the description?
Sure. As a customer whose Disney service is canceled, I would like to receive an email confirming that cancellation.
Exactly. So it's pretty simple, right? And this is the way that we write user stories. Kamilah, is that pretty clear what it's saying to do?
Yes.
Yep. And you're speaking almost as if you're the customer. So you're from the customer's point of view, what is it that you want to do? But from the customer's point of view, if you have a Disney service that's canceled, you definitely, you want to receive an email letting you know. Otherwise, you'll be out in the dark of the cancellation, So the acceptance criteria, Kelsey, can you read the 2 acceptance criteria?
Number 1 is to verify that the cancellation of any Disney subscription results in an email being sent to the account owner confirming that the service has been canceled. And number 2, verify that the email is stored in the CCC.
Yep. Does that kind of make sense, Kelsey?
Yes, that makes sense. I mean, I don't know what a CCC is, but the first part definitely makes sense.
Yeah. And a lot of times, as a Scrum Master, you're going to kind of do guesswork. You're not going to understand the system where it's being stored, the data. So, for example, like you could take a guess that it's being stored in this thing called CCC. We don't know. Even I don't know what it is, actually. My guess is that it's probably a database, but I don't know what it is. And a lot of times, it doesn't matter as far as you and I are concerned as Scrum Masters, as long as there's no questions from the developer. If a developer is like, wait a minute, it shouldn't be stored in CCC, and then that's an open question, Kelsey, you would make sure that you ask that question. And if nobody answers it, you come down here and you click on comment. You actually put a comment there saying, hey guys, it's not being stored in CCC. Where should it be stored? So somebody, and if there's ever any open questions, you always want to follow up. Bilal, can I get a thumbs up or thumbs down if this is making sense? Thumbs up? I can't see your thumbs. I only see your face. But give me a head nod if it's making sense. All right. Cool. Okay.
So
all right. So that's.
Sorry. Excuse me.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So the user story is basically the description. That's the part that's called the user story. Is that what you said?
This whole entire page that you're looking at is a user story.
Okay.
Yeah. So in Jira, when you create when you create a page like this, when you click on new and you create, if I click on create, I'll click on create right now just to show you. So if I click on create, it says create issue, and in Jira, everything that you create is called an issue. Now there's different types of issues. There's user stories, and then there's bugs. And then there's a bunch of other things that you don't have to care too much about. So those are the 2 major things. Either it's a user story because you're making something brand new, or it's a bug because there was a defect and you're trying to correct it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Kamilah?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So this whole entire thing is a user story. And if you remember from the last time, there's 3 main parts of a user story. There's the description, right? And then there's the acceptance criteria. And then on a high level, there's just like a really high level, quick, you know, idea of what it is. So this part is like really, really vague. And then the description kind of goes into a little bit more detail. And then the acceptance criteria is like the specific requirements of what's there. Now, after you're done, now this is something that's still being worked on, right? Because it's in the new column. Value team, the business folks will add more ideas to it. Core team, these guys are reviewing stuff that's pretty much almost ready to go. Meaning that there's usually like if there's any like designs or anything like that, it's all attached to the story, and it's ready to go. You can see here, I'm not going to open it up, but basically, if you look, the description is much more bigger here because they edited it more. There's a little bit more details. There's probably a lot more comments that happened over here, and then after that, the one last thing that's needed before it can go to ready is point estimates. So the engineers will actually vote on how many points this story should be. And I'm going to cover that in another class. So now I want to actually go to something that is a little bit more easy to understand for you guys. So I'm gonna show you a couple of things. So one is I want to show you how product owners and then project managers, how we track our stories. So believe it or not, everybody tracks their stories differently. Some people track it on a piece of paper in a notebook. I track it in Google Docs just because it's really easy for me, and I like to have it nice and clean and organized. So what I do is I just open up a brand new just Google Doc, and I'll have the stories listed with like the links to all the stories, and then I'll have the description, and that way I could always like go to them and reference them if I need to. I'm going to open one of them just so we could go through something that might make a little bit more sense to you guys. Okay, so this is an example of a user story where we're doing an inventory check on our app. And when somebody is basically going through the app and they don't have the inventory for a phone that you want to message them, letting them know that we're out of stock, basically. So we want to have an out of stock message. So there's a description, there's a lot of acceptance criteria, and then there's a link to what's called the design. So I want to actually open up the link so you have a feel for this. You guys already know how it is. Read the description. Whenever you're as a Scrum Master, you're typically, when you open up a story, you'll always read the description, and then you'll always read the acceptance criteria and make sure that there's no questions on that, or if anybody has something to add, you'll add it. And then you'll sometimes, before reading the acceptance criteria or after, you'll open up the design, so that way everyone can look at the design. Now, designers, sometimes they'll have a really nice, clean design, like the one you're looking at right now, and sometimes they won't. Sometimes it'll literally just be like a screenshot or something like that. So what you're looking at is a pretty nice, clean design of our app. And then literally you'll, I'm actually, I want you guys to actually touch and feel this. Kamilah, are you on a computer?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to click on the remote control. I'm going to give you access to my screen, believe it or not. So I just gave you access to my screen. Can you touch the, so move your mouse over to the right, and where the arrow is, click on that arrow. Great. Oops. Exactly. So now you're moving through the design in real time. This design, yeah, so now click on that. Fantastic. Click on that. So you can imagine if we're going through, you have like 20 people in the room, you're actually controlling the screen, and everyone's kind of like looking at the design. So somebody might say, hey, Kamilah, can you scroll down? I want to see the message. So you can just scroll down. Yep, excellent. And then you can scroll up. Cool. And then click on the arrow. Let's go to the next screen. Cool. Go to the next screen. Awesome. So this is kind of introducing you to like another set of screens where it's saying, you know, this new set of screens, all items in the cart will be out of stock, and the customer chooses to wait for the back order. So continue. Yeah, click on it. Click on it. Yep, click, stop right there. So go back. So that message on the top, Kelsey, can you see that where it says, oops, 2 items in your cart are currently out of stock?
Yes.
So that this user story essentially was to put that messaging in right there. Kamilah, can you go ahead and can you click on the bottom right?
Bottom right of the screen? Or?
No, the very bottom right. There's if you look, there's like this. Yep, exactly. Click on that. Click on that. Scroll down.
Scroll down.
So this allows you to see all the screens that were developed and designed all at once. So let's say, for example, somebody doesn't want to, and these are called flows. So a flow is like multiple screens, and as you click continue, click continue, click continue, that's a flow. So keep scrolling down. Scroll down, scroll down. Okay, so stop. Go up a little bit. Stop. So do you stop right there? Okay. So over here, it's called ISPU, choose another store. Whoops. So ISPU, choose another store. Or we'll just do this one. MVA, customer choose ISPU. So this means that there's eight slides or 8 screens in this. And the way that this flow works is that it starts off here, complete your order, and then you click on complete your order, and then you see, oops, it's currently out of stock. And then we show this screen, and then you see this screen, this screen, this screen, and then finally you see that screen. Does that kind of make sense, Kelsey and Kamilah and Bilal?
Yeah. Yep.
Any questions here? Okay, so the last thing right before I hand it off, Kelsey, I'm gonna give you control. You don't have to unmute yourself.
Okay.
You can keep yourself muted, but then oh, wait a minute. Oh, I don't see you here. Okay, never mind. That's strange. I guess because you're on your phone. Bilal, I'm gonna give you access. You don't have to unmute yourself, but I'm gonna give you access to my screen. So you now have access to my screen. You can touch anything on my screen. I want you to see this this user story. I want you to go and click on the create button. Cool. So you could actually touch the screen. You have access to my screen right now. Below. So use your finger below and touch the screen where it says the create button on the top right. Touch it using your finger. Below, can you hear me? So touch the create button. Okay, maybe that's not working. Here, try this. This is easier. Try scrolling up and down. So use your finger and touch the screen. Touch your phone. Bilal, can you hear me? Give me a nod if you could hear me. Up and down. Kelsey, can you hear me?
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you fine.
9.
Okay. Bilal, you can't hear me, huh? Okay. I'm not sure why you can't hear. All right, that's fine. So I'm gonna stop here. I kind of went through a lot. Oh, there we go. Okay. Bilal, can you move up my screen up and down? Try touching it and then moving the screen up and down, or double click on one of those screens that you're looking at by double tapping on it. Okay. It might not be working because you're on your phone. I'm just gonna abort control from you. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing. That's quite a lot right there. I'm gonna let Kamilah take over. And Kamilah, why don't you go ahead and share screen
Okay.
for your presentation?
Yeah. How do I make it bigger? I can't.
So click on the green button right there. Yep, right there. Top, a little bit to the left, a little bit to the, yep, click on that.
Because the Zoom thing is over it. Is that?
Oh, is it really? Okay.
I'm trying to figure out. Usually it's not like this. Oh, there we go. I got it. Sorry, that was pretty simple.
Oh, no worries.
Okay. Okay. So we'll get started. Today we are learning about Scrum Events. So this is going to be a guide to the process of the Scrum process. Okay, so we have Scrum Events basically to create regularity, to make it regular and to minimize the need to have other meetings. And they are all time boxed with a maximum duration that cannot be lengthened. And each event is going to be a formal opportunity to inspect and adapt. Okay, so first, so basically we have the sprint, and that is the heart of the Scrum. And in the sprint, you have the sprint planning meeting, you have daily scrums, you obviously have the development work, you have the sprint review, and finally you have the retrospective. So for the sprint is basically a time box with a project that takes no more than a month. And it creates a product increment, which is like a done, which is a usable and potentially releasable product increment. And the new sprint starts immediately after the conclusion of the previous one, and it has a goal of what is to be built. So it usually can't be more than a month because the definition of what is being built might change, and also the risk might increase. So it's usually not more than a month. Also during the sprint, there's no changes that are made to endanger the goal at the end, and the quality goals do not decrease. The scope may be renegotiated during the process between the product manager and the development team during the daily scrum. Okay, so can a sprint be canceled before the time box is over? It can be canceled, but only the product owner has the authority to cancel it. But he may do so under the influence from the stakeholders or the development team or the scrum master. So he'll cancel it only if it no longer makes sense given the circumstances. Like the company changes direction, or if the market or the technology conditions change. So then the complete and the done product backlog items would be reviewed. And sometimes if part of them could be potentially releasable, then they might re-estimate those and put them on the product backlog. But in general, it consumes resources, and then everyone has to regroup for another sprint planning. So they're uncommon, and they can be traumatic to the Scrum team. So it's usually not, cancellations aren't very common. So first we have the sprint planning. That would be the first meeting. Oops, sorry. And the maximum is 8 hours for a 1 month sprint. And for shorter sprints, then it would be shorter. And the Scrum Master is responsible to ensure the event takes place and keep within the time box. And during the meeting, we'll be setting the sprint goal, which is what can be delivered in the increment and how will the work needed to deliver the increment be achieved. So topic 1 is what can be done this sprint. So first we'll be setting a sprint goal, and that would be the objective that will be met through the implementation of the product backlog and why the increment is being built. So, and then you would select the product backlog items, which is up to the development team. And the product owner would discuss the objective and the product backlog items, and then the development team would select from the backlog items. Okay, and then moving on to topic 2 is how will the work be done? So the development team will make the sprint backlog and choose the items plus the plan for delivering them. And then they'll negotiate with the product owner. And by the end of the sprint planning meeting, they should be able to explain to the product owner and the Scrum Master how they intend and to accomplish the sprint goal and create the increment. Then you have the daily scrum, which is an internal meeting for 15 minutes. It's every day. It plans the work for the next 24 hours. It's usually held at the same time and place, and it focuses on progress towards the sprint goal. So the Scrum Master will ensure it happens, but the development team is responsible for conducting it. And the point is to get feedback and collaborate. No, sorry, that's wrong. That's from the next one. So based on what was done and any changes to the product backlog, then they collaborate on what can be done to optimize value for each day. Okay, then you have the sprint review at the end when it is done. It's 4 hours at the most for the 1 month sprint, and the Scrum Master ensures it takes place and keeps time. The Scrum team and the stakeholders collaborate about what was done, and they inspect the increment and adapt the product backlog. So usually the product owner will invite the attendees, and he'll explain what the product backlog item, what has been done and what hasn't. And the development team will discuss what went well and what problems they ran into. And then the entire group will collaborate on what to do next. So it provides valuable input to the next sprint planning, and they'll also review timeline and budget. So the result is a revised product backlog that defines the probable product backlog items for the next sprint. And then finally, you have the sprint retrospective. And this occurs after the sprint review and prior to the next sprint planning. It's at most a 3-hour meeting for 1 month sprints. The Scrum Master keeps it within the time and ensures the meeting is positive and productive. So it basically provides a formal opportunity to focus on inspection and adaptation. And the purpose is to inspect how the last sprint went with regards to the people, the relationship, and the process and the tools. And the Scrum Master will encourage the team to improve and to make it more effective and enjoyable. And the Scrum team will plan ways to increase product quality and by improving the work and adapting the definition of done, or adapting the definition of done. So, and that was this slide, so the purpose. Okay, so any questions?
I don't have any questions, but nice job, Kamilah.
Thank you.
Good job. I don't have any questions either.
Thank you. I have a question. How long did it take everyone to do that? Because I felt like it took me way too long.
No, it's long. It's long. It takes a long time.
Okay, because I was like,
Yeah.
am I a perfectionist or I'm really bad at this because I took so long? It took me like a few hours.
I had to do 3 of my slides. I lost 3 of my slides.
Oh,
So I had to do 3 of them the other day.
wow, okay. That makes me feel better. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so should I continue sharing or stop sharing now? I think you're on mute, Ali.
Okay, I always do that. I'm always wondering why you guys aren't hearing me. Yeah, I was on mute. Awesome job. Yep, you can stop sharing.
Okay.
And yeah, do you guys have any questions on anything so far covered today?
No, I just wondered,
How did it?
the recording from yesterday? Sorry.
So that's waiting for Amina, and Amina said she got held up. So tonight she's gonna hopefully get it uploaded, and then I'm gonna upload today's video ASAP as well, and then we'll have class tomorrow, and then tomorrow's like the end of the Scrum guide exercise. So Amina's part is going to be the end of that. But how did you feel today? This is my last question for you. When you guys got a chance to actually take control of my screen, did that give you a little bit more of a feel for the software? Obviously, it was only 2 minutes, but if it was longer, do you think it would have been better?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always better when you start doing it yourself, right? You just kind of take it in and then you have to like actually do it to learn it. Like, but it was pretty clear. I mean, it's obviously overwhelming to see see all of it laid out there in detail, all the different aspects. But I think like the same, once you do it, it becomes more familiar. So.
Yep. What I'm planning to do, I'm not going to do it yet, but inshallah, probably at the end of next week, I'm going to create a Scrum account for us, a free version. And the free versions, they don't last too long, but it'll give us just enough time to be able to basically have you guys split up into groups. So I could create different Zoom groups and then pair you guys up. And then for 15, 20 minutes, I'll have you guys actually taking turns writing stories, dictating stories, and then sharing the stories that you guys came up with. That way you guys get like real hands-on experience with the actual software.
Okay. Yeah, that would be nice.
Awesome. Okay, you guys did an awesome job. Sorry, I look super duper exhausted because I am. So, all right, take care, guys. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum. Take care. Bye-bye.